Two Caribbean governments agreed to pump some money into Liat, and in sport, former West Indies keeper Jeffrey Dujon is expecting victory for the Windies in the upcoming series. I'm Ricardo Robertson. This is Caribbean in 10 for Monday, July 2. I'll be back with the details in just a moment. Grenada and St. Lucia have agreed to subsidize the operations of cash-strapped regional airline Liat, despite being fierce critics of the carrier over the years. The revelation came from Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Browne, but he did not reveal how much the two governments would contribute. He said it was agreed to at the recently concluded 65th meeting of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States Authority in St. Lucia. Antigua and Barbuda, Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Dominica are Liat's current shareholder governments. But Browne says the idea is to spread the burden and the benefits of Liat. And Grenada and St. Lucia have signaled that they are willing to come on board to provide some financial subsidy to Liat. The two islands had previously refused to invest in Liat, saying that the regional carrier would first have to address its inefficiencies. Browne said the government of St. Kitts and Nevis, headed by Dr. Timothy Harris, is still not ready to contribute to Liat's survival. And he said he hoped the petition leader understood the need for the region to keep Liat in the air. Browne said he could not see why the OECS and Barbados cannot maintain their own airline. The leader of Grenada's main opposition party, the National Democratic Congress, has stepped down 3 months after the general election, in which the party failed to win a single seat for the second time. But Nazim Burke says he was not pressured into resigning. He told delegates at the party's General Council session yesterday that it was not an easy decision, but he came to it after much reflection and careful consideration and was leaving with no regrets, bitterness or resentment. In a speech which focused mainly on the outcome of the March 13th general election, Burke said that while the NDC's inability to win a seat could not be blamed on one factor, the data shows that the party needs to increase its support base. He said, quote, "We must have the courage to go back to the drawing board, but put all the cards on the table and carefully and honestly reevaluate and re-examine how best to deploy them. In doing so, there should be no exception, not even for the position of party leader," end quote. Now, Burke then announced his resignation as political leader with immediate effect. Deputy political leader Joseph Andal has been appointed interim leader until the party holds its convention at a date to be announced, and Burke has recommended that convention should not take place before March next year. Over in Trinidad now, the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Management and regional corporations are expected to coordinate cleanup exercises today, after weather permitting, after heavy rainfall over the weekend caused flash flooding in the several areas across the country. The showers were the result of a tropical wave passing over the Twin Islands Republic. The rains were particularly bad yesterday. Rivers overflowed their banks, streets were flooded, vehicles were left partially underwater, and some homes were flooded out. And Barbados has put together a strong negotiation team as the government begins negotiations with the International Monetary Fund, the IMF, on a package to help the country's economy out of the doldrums. They will hold talks from today to July 12. Minister in the Ministry of Finance, Ryan Strawn, said some of those meetings will focus on debt not just between the IMF and the government, but also with the domestic and foreign creditors. He explained that government was working out the details on what was required to grow the economy over the next 10 years and the particular paths to achieve sustainable growth, whilst at the same time improving the delivery of public services. Now, Strawn said the early meetings will set the framework for where the government wants the overall economic recovery and transformation plan to be. It's anticipated that by July 12, a working agreement between the IMF and Barbados government will be in place. Stay with us. Your Midday Sport is next.
At this moment right now, I'm on the line. We're waiting for the guys to get us ready going. Watch the waves, watch the water, and come out and go toward the beach to the Reds, which at this point the waves are going into the shore, so you gotta make sure you clear the top of them real nice and smooth. I definitely don't want to stop the boat.
This month on Caribbean Passport, we travel the region taking in Grenada Spice Mass, Barbados Crop Over, Antigua Summer Festival, and so much more, all coming up on this station.
Welcome back. It's now time for sport. Although the West Indies are rated lower than Bangladesh in the ICC's test rankings, Jeffrey Dujon expects the home side to win the upcoming test series. During a recent interview on the Line and Length show, Dujon, a former West Indies wicketkeeper, said he believes the West Indies would emerge victorious in the two-match test series, despite the visitors being ranked 8th, one spot ahead of the home side. He said, quote, "I didn't think that I would ever say it, but Bangladesh is above us in the test rankings, but it is a series that we should win," end quote. However, Dujon, who worked as a commentator during the just concluded series between the West Indies and Sri Lanka, said the result of the series would come down to the type of pitches which were prepared. He said it would be in the best interest of the West Indies if livelier wickets were prepared. He said the first test begins on Wednesday, July 4th at the Sir Vivian Richards Cricket Stadium in Antigua. While the Jamaican trio of Shericka Jackson, Ronald Levy and Frederick Dakers all copped gold medals at the Paris Diamond League event on Saturday, Johan Blake finished down the pack in the men's 100-meter. The former world champion Blake, who finished 5th in the 100-meter in a time of 10.03 seconds. Now, that race was won by American Ronnie Baker, who registered a personal best of 9.88, which equals the fastest time in the world this season. And Levy captured the 110-meter hurdles at the meet for the second straight year, clocking 13.18 seconds ahead of his compatriot Hansel Parchment, who equaled his fastest time for the season was 13.22. Jackson raced to a victory in the 200 meters in a personal best time of 22.05 seconds. That's Caribbean in 10. Join us again at 6:30 for Caribbean Newsline. Good afternoon.